Chicago's an example. It's like worse than Afghanistan. They're anarchists. The big thing they want is they want to really destabilize our country, and we don't let them. They've created bedlam. They've destroyed very important things. I mean, you're also talking about statues of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. They'd like to get Jesus. We're going to get tougher and tougher. And at some point, there's going to be retribution, because there has to be. These people are vandals, but they're agitators, but they're terrorists in a sense. 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 They're terrorists in a sense.
Can we please stop excusing the looters? They're destroying the country's future. Midtown Manhattan and Times Square for most of the month of June looked like a war zone. The mayor and his would-be successor posse are a lost cause. But if Governor Cuomo won't stop the looting, they will lose their retail tax base and hundreds of thousands of jobs for the next several years. This could be exactly what they wanted all along.
They're terrorists in a sense. They're terrorists. They're terrorists in a sense.
Most of the country's inner big cities smelled and sounded like a woodworking shop for the month of June, but instead of building something productive, property owners were bracing for total destruction and annihilation of everything they've ever worked for. And events all around the country are being canceled. July 4th, Thanksgiving Day parades by the company like Macy's out of New York, which sponsored the city's two biggest events, July 4th and Thanksgiving Day parade, abandoned to the political mob because they are afraid of looking racist. The country is changing right before our very eyes. Isn't it funny that all the black faces in the real world are coming from the network shows? They claim it was wrong, that we were wrong, that the world's full of racism, but it was really just them all along, the movie stars and the network. But yet they want to blame the world and you for watching that show. It's always been them and them alone. It's another hoax.
These cities, it's like living in hell. Chicago's an example. It's like worse than Afghanistan. They're anarchists. The big thing they want is they want to really destabilize our country, and we don't let them. They've created bedlam. They've destroyed very important things. I mean, you're also talking about statues of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. They'd like to get Jesus. We're going to get tougher and tougher. And at some point, there's going to be retribution, because there has to be. These people are vandals, but they're agitators, but they're terrorists in a sense.
The president isn't the only one fed up with what we've been seeing. A Chicago activist calling out Black Lives Matter for not focusing enough on the gun violence plaguing his community.
The entire nation should be outraged when a 3-year-old is executed on the streets of Chicago and a 13-year-old young girl was killed on the west side of Chicago as well. It makes no sense to me if we continue to stand up against the system, but we will not stand up in our own neighborhood.
Meanwhile, Sleepy Joe Biden under fire from the left for not embracing the radical defund the police movement. Political insiders are worried the Democrat base will reject Biden if he doesn't get on board. All right, Greg, what did you think about the president using the phrase terrorists when talking about the agitators and the looters?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think words are enough anymore. I think that there needs to be some kind of action, and I'm not sure what it is, but what I find interesting is the gun violence in Chicago is a reality. What you're seeing going on in America is a racial hysteria. So why is one gaining attention and the other isn't? And I believe that the worst thing a black community can do as a whole is take advice from coddled, white, over-caffeinated, over-educated, under-experienced, left-wing individuals. Because look at the consequences. The black-on-black crime or the gang violence and the gun violence is ignored, but everybody's running around tearing down statues. So I want to end the race war that we seem to be experiencing today. I'm going to blow your mind with this, okay? There are more differences and conflict within whites than there are between whites and blacks. There are more conflicts and differences between whites than there are between whites and blacks. When you look at those pasty white wimps out there running around vandalizing and destroying property, I realize that I have absolutely nothing in common with these laughable losers. And in fact, when anybody looks at the TV, they realize they have nothing in common as a white person with these failures. So it's insulting to me, and it should be insulting to every white person, that you think that race binds us. It doesn't bind us. I have more in common with black winners than white losers. And that's the truth of all human beings. What ties us together is achievement and not grievance. So white winners and black winners are on the same side, and stay away from the white losers because they are poisoning the minds of everybody. That will end racism if all the winners of every race and color join together and laugh at the losers.